Welcome to St. Lucie Public Schools. This is your Transportation Department Training and Development. Today's training is on the FEFP reporting process. An extra worksheet is not needed. All completion tracking is done online through Safe Schools. Upon completion of this training course, you will be paid for 30 minutes of training pay. Again, please do not submit an extra worksheet. The purpose of this training is to educate our staff on the overall process of the Florida Education Finance Program, otherwise known as FEFP. The St. Lucie Public Schools Transportation Department heavily relies on the accuracy and reporting from our bus drivers as we count our student ridership. It is essential in order to obtain the necessary funding from our government agencies to cover the costs associated with transporting students to and from school. Each and every student that boards our buses needs to be accounted for. So really, what is FEFP? It's the funding formula developed in 1973 to distribute funds allocated to school districts for K-12 public school operations. School districts receive funds from the federal government filtered down by the state. School funding, including transportation, is a blend of federal, state, and local dollars. The Transportation Department is required to conduct FEFP survey counts 4 times a year. We conduct 2 during the regular school year, 1 in October, and then again in February, and then 2 over the summer, 1 in June, and again in July. Basically, FEFP is what pays us. The purpose of the FEFP counts are to identify which students are actively riding on our school buses in order to be paid for the costs that we incur for transporting students back and forth from school. Once the FEFP count is over, the Florida Department of Education comes in to audit our reports. Each bubble sheet is carefully reviewed in comparison with school attendance records. They look to make sure the school records match our records. If they find any inconsistencies, such as students marked as riding when they did not ride during the count week, they'll perform a further investigation to determine which report is accurate. If we, transportation, are found to be inaccurate, we, transportation, must pay back the money that has been previously paid to us, along with any penalties that are assessed for falsifying information. Keep in mind that in order for us to receive funds for a student, we only need to transport that student for 1 day during the count week. The count week is Monday, February 6th through Friday, February 10th. On Friday, February 3rd, your area manager will give you your FEFP folder. Included in that folder will be your detailed instruction letter. Please take the time to read it. Also included in there will be your bubble sheets for each school, a blank write-in sheet to be used if any students ride that happen to not be listed on your bubble sheets, and if you run a midday, you will have a midday sheet. Midday sheets look exactly like regular bubble sheets. They are just printed on a different color than your normal bubble sheets. You are to begin your counting process on Monday, February 6th and complete it by Friday, February 10th. The full report is due after your AM run on Friday, February 10th with no exceptions. Again, reports are due on Friday, February 10th, after your AM run. We need enough time to reconcile the data before sending it off to the state of Florida. Here is some important information to keep in mind when completing your FEFP reports. You can use pen or pencil to complete them. And if you make an error, or your bubble sheets get damaged, or you just so happen to misplace them, we can reprint them for you. Also, please, please, please be thorough when you're completing them. We have to make sure that we are getting the correct count. So what this means is we need you to pay attention to your riders, both in the AM and the PM. If you don't know their name, just ask them. Please, don't just guess. Stock up on student cards. You can hand these out and ask them to fill them out. Collect them. These help take the guess out of the game. Ask your manager for more information. Next up, bubble sheets. Let's take a look at one together. The top left corner has the bus route info. You'll see the vehicle ID, 2943, the route ID, 2943 for the AM, and the run ID, Dale Cassins, 2943 for the AM. The top right corner has the signature box. I certify this is an accurate record of bus attendance. Signature, printed name, and date. You will see the students' names and 562 numbers on the left side of the screen. Notice the students will be listed by each bus stop. For example, Brian's bus stop is Starfish and Gemini. On the right side, you will see the days of the week to fill in: Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Fill in the bubble for the first day the student rode the bus during the count week. Remember, we only need to bubble in one day. If the student did not ride during the count week, do not fill in any bubbles. Just leave it blank. We can only count students that rode during the count week. Remember, the count week is Monday, February 6th through Friday, February 10th. We often see bubbles in the center section filled in. Please do not fill in these bubbles. We only use the bubbles underneath the days of the week that the student rode: Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, and Friday. Again, do not use the bubbles in the center section. Only use the bubbles underneath Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, or Friday. Again, you only need to bubble in one day for the student riding. When you have completed your bubble sheets, you will need to print, sign, and date in the box on the top right side. Any report without a printed name, signature, and date on every single bubble sheet will be returned. The state considers unsigned reports as incompleted reports, and any students that were marked as riding during the count week on the pages that were not signed, we will lose money on. It is important that we do not make any markings over any of the barcodes on the bubble sheets. We have to scan each rider that has been bubbled in. And if there are any markings on the barcodes, it may jeopardize the scanner from reading the barcode accurately, which could affect the count. If you make an error on the bubble sheet or it gets damaged, we can print a new one for you. Please see your area manager for that, or you can contact Ms. Cruz. Now let's talk about write-ins. Students are always coming and going into the school district, and routes consistently change. Although we do our best to make sure the routes are as up to date as possible, it's almost impossible to keep them current with the ever-changing influx in students. Therefore, there may come a time that a student rides your bus and he or she is not listed on your bubble sheet. When this happens, you'll need to manually document their information on a write-in sheet, provided to you in your FEFP folder. From there, the student will be added to the route in Bus Planner, as long as the student is eligible for busing. And then, the next time your route is printed, it would reflect the new student. Keep in mind that just because a student boards your bus does not mean they should be. There can be multiple reasons why a student has been deemed ineligible for school transportation. If it is determined that a student you have listed on a write-in sheet is not eligible for transportation, they will not be added to your route. This is the correct way to write in. Again, if a student rides your bus and is not listed on the bubble sheet, you'll need to properly complete a write-in sheet. Notice the column titles: date road, school, grade, first name, last name, ID number, which is the student's 562 number, and then bus stop. Please be sure you write clear, as we have to take this information from the write-in sheet and manually add them into a spreadsheet. If we are unable to read the info, we may lose the funding for those students. We ask that you do not add birthdays, phone numbers, or addresses. Again, we ask that you do not list birthdays, phone numbers, or addresses. If you do not know the student's 562 number, please leave that column blank. Again, do not list birthdays, phone numbers, or addresses. We are not able to look up student information by them. So again, we will ask, do not list birthdays, phone numbers, or addresses. If you do not know the student's 562 number, please leave that column blank. What we will do is search by the student's first name and last name, and we will complete the 562 number in that column. When you have completed your count, you will need to sign, print your name and date across the top of the page. Please do not forget to include your route number. Again, please sign, print your name, please add your route number, the date you have submitted it, and your area manager. Any incomplete forms will be returned for proper completion. So you may have heard me mention midday sheets a few times throughout this presentation. So what exactly is a midday sheet? Well, you will only have a midday sheet if you run a midday. Midday sheets look exactly like bubble sheets as mentioned before. The only difference is your midday sheet, if you run one, will be a different color than a regular bubble sheet. And you'll follow the same exact instructions when you're completing your midday sheet as you would your regular bubble sheets. And you'll sign it, you'll print your name, and you'll date it, and you'll turn it in on the exact same time as you would your regular bubble sheets. Here are some common questions and answers that we've seen in the past. What if I have a student that always rides, but just happens to not ride all this week? Can I just mark him as road? Absolutely not. This is considered falsifying information and can cost us a penalty. This is why there are multiple FEFP counts during the year. We'll just catch him or her on the next count. What if I turn in my report and a student shows up to ride that hasn't rode all week? How do I mark her? Not a problem. Just grab a blank write-in sheet. There are some in the driver's lounge. Then turn it into your area manager and we'll get that student added to your report. Do I have to wait until Friday to turn in my report if I am finished with it sooner? No. If you can complete your report before Friday, please turn it into your area manager as soon as you can complete it. It actually helps us get a head start on compiling the data. My bubble sheet got damaged. Who can help me? Your area manager should always be your first point of contact. However, Ms. Cruz can assist you with anything related to FEFP. When in doubt, write them on your write-in sheet. We can exclude any duplicates on the final report. So if you're unsure if another driver has listed a student on their write-in sheet, just list them on yours. We can exclude any duplicate on our final reports. I hope this answered any questions that you may have had. Let's have a quick review. The purpose of these FEFP counts are to identify which students are actively riding on our school buses in order to be paid for the cost associated with transporting students to and from school. We have students that ride our school buses to and from school. We complete our reports. We send them off to the state of Florida. The state of Florida sends money to St. Lucie Public Schools, and then it gets filtered down to the transportation department. Once the FEFP count is over, the Florida Department of Education comes in, they audit our reports. Each bubble sheet is carefully reviewed in comparison with school attendance records for accuracy. Again, if they find inaccurate information, such as students marked as riding when they did not ride during the count week, we must pay back the money that has been paid to us, along with any penalties that are assessed for falsifying information. Remember, the student only has to ride one day during the count week in order for us to receive funding. In case you missed it, let's recap. Our count week is Monday, February 6th through Friday, February 10th. You only need to fill in one bubble. Pen or pencil is okay to complete the reports. Please do not make any markings on any of the barcodes on any of the bubble sheets. Make sure you are completing the report in full with all of the required information. Fill in the bubble for the first day only the student rode the bus during the count week. If the student did not ride during the count week, do not fill in any bubbles. Please just leave it blank. Pay attention to all of your riders, both in the AM and the PM. Don't just guess. Stock up on your student cards to help you fill in their names. Remember, you can ask the student their name. If a student rides your bus and is not on the bubble sheet, you will need to complete the write-in sheet. Please write clear. If you have a student that rides your bus After you turn in your report, just fill out a write-in sheet. Write clear and be sure you are signing, printing your name, and dating all of your forms. Remember, the state denies any unsigned forms. Your reports are due to your area manager no later than Friday, February 10th, after your AM run. Again, your reports are due to your area manager no later than Friday, February 10th, after your AM run. Again, after your AM run. If you feel you need further training on the FEFP reporting process, please see Mrs. Cruz in the South County compound, or you may contact me directly at 772-340-7199 or my email address below. We can set up a time to meet and discuss this process in further detail. This has been a St. Lucie Public Schools Transportation Employee Training and Development session. All staff will be held accountable to meet all the expectations set forth by the Transportation Management Team. If you have any questions about this training or any other training, please speak with your immediate manager. Thank you for joining St. Lucie Public Schools Transportation Department Employee Training and Development. You will need to pass the following quiz in order to receive credit for this training.